Hey, welcome back to the Authentic Walk podcast, brought to you by Influence Pro Marketing, hosted by Tanner Morgan and Daventry Jordan, where we talk about allowing God and others to see the real you, all things sport, life, business. And today we have a very special guest.
Yes, we do.
And the one and only Dr. Dave Martin, pastor, motivational speaker, America's #1 Christian success coach.
Man, he has like 15 titles.
Yeah, a lot of titles. That means that must mean you're very important.
Must mean something.
Important and anointed. We're really thankful to have you here. And I have 3 paragraphs of stuff to really explain you by. But I just want to start with talking about your relationship with Daventry and your son Solomon. You got the St. Thomas football shirt on today, which I love. Roll Tommies. Yeah, I love it. So let's just start off talking about kind of how you guys know each other and how your relationship started.
I met Dave several years ago. He flew up to Minnesota. He did a men's breakfast for us at church, and I'm just listening to him. I'm like, man, like everything that came out of his mouth, it just like resonated with me as a person who strives to be a motivational person for the athletes that we train. So I said, I need to get close to him. I need to get close. I need to get some wisdom. I need to talk to him. And I learned that he had a son that was actively in sports. You know, and Dave travels a lot, and it came to time for Solomon to really figure out his last few years of high school, what he was going to do. And they, by the grace of God, Dave and his wife entrusted in me and took some of my counsel, and we got Solomon up here to Minnesota, went to a Christian high school, and now he's playing collegiate football at the University of St. Thomas. And, so whenever I can get a chance to be in his life or be around him, and it's just an honor.
And thank you for all you did to speak into him and push him. And he says he's playing that. It's hard for me to say roll anything because I'm an LSU fan. So Roll Tide, roll. Just saying that's hard. It's just hard. But yeah, he's playing for the Tommies. Roll Toms. There you had it.
There you go. not Go Tigers anymore.
Yeah, but thank you for you. And I know you've spoken to his life as well. And it's great to have men that are doing things with their life and pushing. And I always love to have men speak into his life to encourage him for the next level. I know I needed that in my life. We all needed that. Yeah. So that's what we're doing here.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? I think it's really cool, too, because a lot of times I've seen it with parents who have kids who are really successful in athletics, and it's hard to kind of let go.
Yeah.
Where you said, no, this is the best thing for you, is to go and be poured into spiritually at Creative Church with Pastor Jonathan and Joanne, but also here spiritually and physically with Daventry at Game Face Training. This is the best thing for you. Like, let's go. I'm still your dad.
Yes.
Right. But this is the best thing for you. Where a lot of people, like my dad, that was a hard transition for him because we spend so much time together. So I think that's, really cool what you did to say, this is the best thing for you. Might hurt me a little bit. I'm not going to get to see you as much. I'm still going to be very active in your life.
Yeah.
But this is the best thing for you, and I got to let go, where a lot of people sometimes in our society have some trouble with that.
Yeah. I look at it like, I'm always going to be his dad.
Right.
So, but he needs some good uncles. Right,
right.
That, I remember going to my uncle's house. I'd come home. I want to live with my uncle. Oh, he's awesome.
Right.
Because we have a blast and we do all this. But okay, that's fine. You still got to come home.
Right.
But I'm glad he has those uncles that are saying, "Come on." And so, like you said, being creative. That's why I was so glad he chose St. Thomas, because even though he's growing as an athlete, he's growing in muscle, growing in strength, growing in skill, all that. That spirit man growing is important too, and so knowing that he's in a place that I know love him and care about him and that are building him up is so important as well.
Yeah. It's so cool, and I love the campus too. That's where I went to a Athletes in Action camp at St. Thomas, and that's where God really got a hold of my life. So it's got a special place in my heart, and I know people who are on the staff there, and obviously who are on the team. So. As a Gopher, I'm a Tommy too. I support the Tommies through.
Got an amazing program too.
Yeah,
Coach
they really do.
He's changing things up there.
It's an up and coming program too.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to go there. Obviously, the transition with what they've been into in the Pioneer League and what's going to happen in the near future is really exciting for them. But one of the things I really want to talk about, kind of our theme today, is godly habits. You preached about it at Creative last week or 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
About your book, Make That, Break That. And I think it's so important. You talked about your friend, James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits as well. That book made a big impact on my life. We read it as a team. And I'm excited. I haven't read it yet, but I purchased it. It's on the way on Amazon, so I'm excited to read that.
I was kidding with James the other day. We were speaking in Orlando, and he's like, I've sold 10 million copies now of my book, Atomic Habits. And our books came out around the same time.
Yeah.
I said, James, that's awesome. Between you and I now, we've sold over 10 million books about habits. So we're doing good.
I love it. But it's so important.
Yeah.
And I'd love to, allow you to kind of go into that a little bit. And one of the things that you talked about in your book, in one of the chapters, is kind of the habits of the average and the ordinary. Different, really, than the great habits of great people. And I'd love to just have you pour into that and talk about what habits you see great people, whether that's in ministry, business, because you're juggling a lot of things.
Yeah.
You're a highly sought after speaker, a pastor, a father, a husband, entrepreneur. You got a lot of things that you're doing.
A lot of things going on.
A lot of anointing flowing out of you. And I'd love to just hear some of the habits that you've created and how you see how athletes specifically too can build better habits to have more success.
Yeah. I made a point years ago. I wrote a book called 12 Traits of the Greats, where I really started out by studying their habits. What made people great? Whether it was what made them a great trainer, what made them a great football player, what made them a great pastor, or great on the business field, the battlefield, whatever field. And I took really thousands of hours studying great achievers and what were their habits, what made them great. And so one of the first ones I found, and I think it's one that we all need if we're going to do anything great with our life, and that's to take responsibility, right? It's easy to blame everyone else for our problems.
Right.
It's easy to blame, why I didn't catch that pass, or why I didn't accomplish that goal, or why I didn't. It's easy. I need to lose weight. My doctor said, Dave, you need to lose 50 pounds, right? First of the year. And so I'm doing pretty good, but I've only got 53 to go. No. But, and I could blame, it's Krispy Kreme's fault that I haven't lost that weight, or it's my wife's fault because she cooks, with a lot of Italian food with carbs, and I could blame everyone else, but until I take responsibility. The word team, we talk about team a lot. There's no I in team, right? But there's a lot of I's in responsibility. And so I can't blame others is one of them, I can't keep blaming everyone else for why I haven't accomplished it, if you are where you are because you made the decisions. Your decisions yesterday got you to where you are today.
Right.
So changing your decisions, changing your habits is going to make your tomorrow different. And so that was one of the things I really saw. And even in we're talking about my son Solomon, at one point he decided to take responsibility and put in the work. He wanted to be a football player in 9th grade and 10th grade, but he didn't take responsibility until about 11th grade.
Right.
Well, how do you know, you're so busy, so sought after, how do you determine, what to do? I'm pretty sure you probably wake up and you probably got 100 text messages in your phone.
Yes. One thing I'm actually still learning, and a good friend of mine really taught me this, was the power of no.
Okay.
And I'm really learning, even because I want to help everybody.
Right.
I want to help. Yeah. I'm a people person. I want to add value. I hope today we add some value here to the podcast. But so I want to add value to everyone that I can. But at some point, you've got to stay focused, which is another habit, another trait of great achievers is the power of focus, because what you focus on becomes bigger in your life, right? And so if I'm trying to do everything, I'm not focused on what I need to be doing. And so that it's okay to say no sometimes, right? I can't do everything. I can do anything. Because with God, all things are possible. I can do anything. I just can't do everything. And so I've got to decide, what is God asking me to do? What's God wanting me to do? And so sometimes I've had to say, I'd love to do that. Just had to do it yesterday. And it was a friend. I'm like, I really want to do it, but I just can't spin another plate right now.
Right.
And so.
Yeah, no, I get that. I think when you're talking about focus, it's so important, because a lot of times we think we're delayed to where we want to be. Like, I'm not the starter yet. I'm not where I want to be with my walk with God yet. Well, and we just think, it's a delay. Well, in reality, if we looked at it, we're probably just distracted. And we think we're delayed, but if we look at Martha and Mary, right? She's trying to do a good thing, trying to serve people, trying to get everything set up. Yeah. And her sister's sitting there at Jesus' feet, and Jesus says, I'm not going to take this away from her, right? But one of the things that I tell people a lot is, I was talking to some people that are in software sales yesterday morning. They're like, how do I carry this into my faith life, into making a sale? I'm like, well, you should do a week where you spend an hour with Jesus in the morning.
Yeah.
I bet it'll be your best week in sales.
Yeah.
Because you won't have to strive as hard. I'm not saying just
Right.
don't be a follower of Jesus to make more money or whatever.
Yeah.
But the reality is, the more time I spend with him, the less I have to strive and feel
Yeah.
like I got to do it on my own. And I'm probably a little bit more anointed into doing what I'm doing. But you said something in your sermon at Creative about how many times we pick up our phone on a daily basis, like over 600 times a day.
My wife was talking about
When we
that
talk
last
about
night.
distractions, like, bro, that's Sunday.
And-
People talk about Sunday scaries. I get Sunday scaries when the screen time alert pops up on my phone. And I'm
Right.
like,
And it's on Sunday mornings.
Right.
Yeah.
While you're at
Yeah.
church, you're like, you spend
Yeah.
5 hours. Whoa.
More than last week.
Right.
Oh, no. I
You're
tried
up
to do
20%.
better.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, exactly. And it's like, well, I try to justify it.
You know, Dave, again, I try to use a lot of your terminology with a lot of our athletes that we train. You know, so one of the things I do when we're in combine season, and I get this group of guys that I've never met before who are trusting in me, I said, who you want to be and where God needs you to be are two different things. And the only way that we figured out is by going under, right? Is spending that time with God, praying and worshiping. And when I tell these athletes, before you even get on the field, I already know the area that we're on.
Yeah.
And like, we just got to give it all to God and just win today.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, like you were saying, that goes with what you were saying too, is spend that time first thing, right?
Right.
Well, we talked about favor earlier before we started the podcast, and I'm always, one of the things I do is declare favor to go before me,
Right,
before
right.
I get to that sale,
Yeah.
before I get on that field, favors going by. I'm declaring that to go before me. So when I get there, it's already there waiting for me.
Right.
But it comes through spending time with God, learning the power of my words, and my declarations, and like getting up first thing in the morning and spending time with God, not grabbing my phone, right? I've kind of lived by this thing: create before you consume, right? Because the first thing we do is we pick up our phone, we start consuming Facebook, Instagram, we're consuming, and wait. God's the greatest. He's the creator of the universe. What does He want to create through me? So we were talking about writing earlier.
Yeah.
I'm going to create. What am I going to do that's going to move me forward before I start consuming? I'm going to start creating.
Wow.
That's so good. Talking about that, you talked about your habit of, because I asked him before the show, you got all these things that you're doing, and you're, one of the most well sought after speakers. But a lot of times, great speakers are what? Great authors.
Yeah.
Which is what you are. And you got all these things. How do you find the time to write? And you talked about, well, I just write for at least 20 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And at some point, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 20 minutes. I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about maybe one or two other habits that you've created in your life that you can look at now and be like, yeah, on purpose I created these habits, and this is the result of it.
Yeah. Well, like you said, I had a bad habit. We talk about recognizing bad habits. The books make that, break that, right?
Yeah.
We're going to make good habits. We want to break bad habits.
Amen.
And a lot of times we don't deal with the bad habits. But I had a bad habit of procrastination. I wanted to write a book. I felt I was one of the things I was called to do was to document my opinion, to write books. I think books are powerful. I think everybody should write a book. I think you should write a book. I think you should write a book. I think, books go where you can't go. I mean, God took His Son, but He left His book.
Right.
Right? You got it right there.
True.
But I had a habit. I wanted to do it, but I had a habit of procrastination, which all of us do. I was going to write a book about procrastination, but I never got around to it. But so I had to break that habit, the bad habit of procrastination. But when you break a habit, it's important that you fill that spot with something different, with a new, better habit. It's like if I take down a light fixture in a house I'm remodeling and I just leave it with nothing there, well, people are going to come in and go, what's the deal with that big hole in the ceiling? No, I replaced what was old or what was bad with a new, better, more efficient light. And so the same thing in our life. So I'm replacing the bad habit of not writing, wanting to, I should, with saying, okay, I'm going to create the habit of doing this every day. Another habit that I've really developed is learning how to say no, but all that goes with the value of time, right? Time is all we've got. So if I don't develop a habit of using my time wisely, So often, time. America has the dollar. Mexico has the pesos. Japan has the yen. England has the pound. Every country has a currency. Even heaven has a currency, because the Bible says anything you need from heaven you receive by faith. So the currency of heaven will be faith. But earth's currency is time. Anything you have today, you've traded your time for.
Wow.
Anything you don't have today, you've just been unwilling to trade your time for. But we all have the same amount of time, right? You don't have more time than you. You don't have more. We all have 24 hours in a day.
Right.
Rich people don't have more time than poor people. Poor people don't have less time. It's what they do. So I don't teach a lot on time management anymore. I really teach on time investment, because time is something, time is money, right? Time is something you invest. I didn't have friends when I showed up on earth. I had time, traded my time with people, and built friendships.
Right.
I didn't have money. I traded my time with someone. They gave me a paycheck. Right. All I have is time. So 24 hours in my day, 24 boxcars on the train to success every day. I read the other day, we're talking about how much time people are on their phone. I read the other day, the average American watches 6 hours of television a day.
Wow.
6 hours of television a day. That means 6 of your boxcars every day. I had a mentor of mine years ago said, Dave, what if you took 1 hour a day and invested in yourself? Just 1 hour a day. Think where you could be a year from now. Right. I mean, that's 3. If you just get up an hour early, skip lunch to read a book, watch a podcast like you're doing right now. Think where you'd be. I'd say a year from now, you could be an expert on any topic you wanted to be an expert on if you took 1 hour a day and invested in yourself. So instead of just binge watching, just take out 1 hour. Right. Take out one CSI. Right. And invest in yourself and watch what happens. So I've learned to develop that habit of looking at my blocks of my day. Right. There's 24. If I'm going to sleep for 8, and I got to eat, and I got to do that. So how am I going to invest my life into others and into myself? And so time is all I've got.
Yeah. For anybody watching this podcast, please grab a notepad and a pen. Please take notes. This is simple things, but these things will help change the trajectory of your life. Please take notes.
Yeah, and you can go buy all 12 of the books and read them all and learn even more as well. Specifically the one we're talking about right now, Make That, Break That. And we also have the Mindset Matters book that we're setting up right here. It's not, just there to look cute.
But, all of it goes back to mindset.
For sure.
That's when I studied the 12 traits. Everything went back, changing our habits.
Yeah.
All it has to do is, it starts right here. I always say you need a checkup from the neck up, right? Because our stinking thinking, all of us would admit, I've limited myself by my own thinking.
Let me ask you a question.
I know that's a fact in my life.
So as you're growing, a lot of people that may have been in your life maybe not growing. How do you handle that? Like, how do you handle telling somebody, like, I just don't have the time anymore? Like, the things that I used to do, I can't do anymore. Because, God has given you much as much is required, right? So can you speak a little bit about how do you tell people, like, hey, I'm not the same person anymore. I'm different. I'm changed.
When you outgrow people.
Yeah.
Every time you go to another level, there's going to be people that can't go to that level with you, or they won't go to that level with you. I've got family members, love them, hug them at Christmas time. Right. Can't hang out with them. Right. They don't think like I think. Right. And so I'm not going to be rude to them. I don't have time for you. You're not growing. You're a loser. But we're going to separate. Right. It's going to happen because I'm pursuing different things than they're pursuing. Wow. And they're not. You can try to explain it to them. They're not going to understand it because their mindset is not there. You can try to bring them along. I try to bring along. I think every one of us need people to bring along with us. Right. Two the most important relationships in your life is a mentor and a protege. Right? I need people that are pulling me up, but it's important that I pull people up with me. Amen. Right. Because you'll only remember what you teach. Right. So I've got to be teaching this to someone else. Right. So I'm bringing someone with me as someone else bringing me up with them. And mentors are so vital. Friends are great, but friends like you the way you are. Right. Mentors like you too much to leave you the way you are.
Yeah, that's good.
And so, your friends, you got your best friend. Your mentor is your coach. And so he's to help push you to the next to the next level. And that should be all of our desires, because that's what God wants to do in our life, is take us from glory to glory, right? From level to level, from to higher places, so we can have greater impact for Him. And someone was asking me, with everything going on in the world, and you look at the news, and is this the end of time? Is this the last days? Are we in the last days? And I said, you know what? I can tell you, according to the Bible, I can tell you exactly. Nobody knows. They're like, yeah. I saw a statistic. I think it was CNN and maybe the New York Post. I can't remember which company, but they did a post that 30% of people now are looking at the news. Only God knows. He hadn't even told Jesus. It says the angels and the Son of Man don't even know when it's coming. But I can tell you this: it's your last days. It's my last days, right? And so, what am I going to do with it? I want to make a difference with every day, with my last days. And so, wherever you're at, however old you are, you're in your last days. And so, what are we going to do to make a difference? And so, we want to strive to do better, and with our life, and everything that we do. And we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have some failures along the way, but you get back up. I wrote a book a few years ago talking about sports. I have had the opportunity to work with a lot of different sports teams, and I used to work quite a bit with different NBA teams. And I was sitting in the lobby hotel, the lobby of the Island Hotel, Newport, California, with Kobe Bryant. So he had just set the record for the most missed shots in the history of the NBA.
Wow.
Right? I think this was probably 2014 maybe. Set the record, most missed shots in the history of the NBA. Now, 7 days after he sets the record for the most missed shots, he passes up a guy by the name of Michael Jordan for the most points scored during his career. So the same guy with the most missed shots passes up one of the greatest players of all time. I said, how did you do it? He said, Dr. Dave, it's real simple. I just took another shot. I'm like, wow, how simple is that? So I got a book called Another Shot. That's where I got the title. He titled it. But he said this, and you can't let the fear of failure or the fear of criticism keep you from trying again.
Yeah.
I mean, you're both in sports, so you know what happens. You ever made a bad pass?
Oh, almost every day when I was playing.
Yeah. Did you ever make one, just really bad? You're like, oh, that was bad. But you didn't realize how bad until they played it on the Jumbotron.
Oh, yeah.
And then everyone's like, ooh, man, Tanner made a bad one there.
Yep.
And then they all watched your mistake again. Then they put it in slow motion so we could really see how bad it was. And then it's on Sports Center the next day 3 more times. And your mistake is broadcast over and over to the world. It's real easy to, I'm not going to try again. What if I do that? What if that happens again? And that's what happens with people, right? They let the fear of failure. Kobe said, when I'm playing, you're in a big fishbowl, right? Thousands of people are watching you, every mistake you make it. And he goes, you just got to get back up and get back in the game. There's a quote on the back of the book I love by Evander Holyfield. And I mention his name because it's sports and the quote makes sense. I'm not just trying to drop names.
Right. I need you to so we can get more followers.
If anything, no, seriously. If anything I've learned from spending time with Oprah, it's that. No, I'm kidding. But Evander Holyfield said, it's not getting knocked down that makes you lose the fight. It's not getting back up. Right? We're all going to get knocked down. We're all going to make some mistakes. We're going to have some bad habits that throw us off, but we get back up and we break the bad ones, we make some new ones, and we continue to move forward to the things that are ahead.
And as I think about getting knocked down, at least for me, and getting back up, it just builds my capacity to handle more and to endure more.
Yeah. And
really giving that to God and saying, God, I need you to take this from me, and I think my opinion, the devil wants you to think about that last shot, wants you to think about that last miss. And God is saying, no. I need you to focus on where you got to go. I need to focus on here. Focus on the next one. And we get so strung up in who we used to be in our past. And now it just consumes us.
Yeah. That's why that mindset, that's where the enemy, he can't control your thinking, but boy, he'll put all kind of thoughts. You have to decide.
Yeah.
I'm going to take control. Right? The Bible talks about taking captive every thought, right? So I have the control over my thoughts. The enemy can't control my thoughts. He'll throw all kind of darts in there. But I've got to make the decision. My mindset matters, And so if I don't work on my thinking, I got to work on that every day, right? The Bible talks about renewing your mind. It's a daily thing that I've got to do. I got to make the decisions every day to change my thinking, renew my mind, because we limit ourselves so much, whether it's thinking small, whether it's thinking we can't do this, or, I remember working with Solomon when he was really little. He's probably 6 or 7 years old. He's, I'm such an idiot. I'm so dumb. I go, wait, don't ever say that about yourself. You have the mind of Christ. How could you be dumb and have the mind of Christ?
Right.
And so it's something that still, as an adult, writing books about it. In the 12 Traits of the Greats, there's a whole chapter about mindset, because great achievers understand the importance of their thinking. Yeah. Still, every day, I'll catch myself, I got to work on that. And I can catch myself going negative on something. And then that's a choice. You got to choose to be positive, right? I was born a pessimist.